On 19 March 1941, Lieutenant General MacNaughton, in the course of a conversation with me at Canadian Military Headquarters, suggested that I should ask Captain G.F. Purcell, Public Relations Officer at Canadian Corps Headquarters, to arrange a screening of these films, and that I should offer comments on the question of arranging and captioning them and the matter of their historical value. I got in touch with Captain Purcell and he arranged to have the films screened for me at Headley Court on the afternoon of 25 March. 10 reels constituting a large part of the Corps film library were shown. The subjects were as follows, although my list may not be quite complete. Visits of General Charles and the Honourable James Gardner, General MacNaughton inspecting vehicles during the summer of 1940, visits of His Royal Highness the Duke of Gloucester, visits of Mr. and Mrs. Churchill, demonstrations of road cratering by the Tunnelling Company. The most recent film was a visit of the Right Honourable Malcolm MacDonald and demonstrations by the Royal Montreal Regiment. As well, there were signals and engineer demonstrations, Army Field Workshop, mobile laundry, and tank demonstrations. The films have, of course, many marks of the amateur operator upon them and are uneven in quality. But on average, I was rather agreeably surprised by the standard they attained. With growing experience and perhaps greater opportunities, the improvised film unit at Corps Headquarters should produce further films of very considerable historical interest. The films were shown by Private W.C. Fenwick, and he was the individual who took them. He explained to me that the photographic section consists of himself and another man for darkroom work. The unit takes still pictures as well as quote-unquote movies. It has existed since the summer of 1940. Fenwick has had some amateur experiences with cinema camera and civil life. All the work done so far has been with 16mm film. It is worthy to note that a cable has pointed out so far the system of feeding films on Canadian activities in the United Kingdom into the newsreel films prepared in New York for Canadian circulation has not produced satisfactory results. It is proposed tentatively, as a remedial measure, the organization of a small film unit to consist of 1 lieutenant and 2 assistants in the Office of the Public Relations Officer at Canadian Military Headquarters. This would obviate our present enforced reliance on commercial newsreel companies. Such a unit would of course be composed of professionals and would use 35mm equipment, and would thus produce films of a more advanced type than those made by the improvised unit at Corps Headquarters. This appears to me a moderate and sensible proposal, and one likely, if adopted, to result in our obtaining an admirable collection of historical films dealing with Canadian military activity in this country. I hope, therefore, that it will be carried into effect. While it is scarcely my function to make suggestions in this matter, I may mention that it has been a source of surprise to me for some years past that Canada has been forced to rely for her newsreel films so exclusively on American sources. Many times I've heard Canadian audiences laugh at the ludicrous mispronunciations of Canadian proper names and misunderstanding of Canadian situations found in the remarks of American commentators which have been superimposed in New York on film taken in Canada. And I have often noted also the low technical quality of these Canadian scenes that have been fed into the American newsreels. The present moment when excellent short feature films are being produced in Canada would seem to offer an opportunity for reviewing the newsreel situation in general, with a view to the possibility of bringing the control of Canadian newsreels into Canadian hands, and thus ensuring the accurate presentation of Canada's war effort in the United Kingdom and elsewhere to the Dominion's public. I doubt whether cinema film will have more than a rather limited value in the future as historical material in the narrow sense, for example as contributions to the preparation of an official history. They will, however, be important from the point of view of the possibilities they present for telling the Canadian people at large, including a great many who will never, by any stretch of the imagination, open the official history, something of what their countrymen did during this war. It seems possible that a series of cinema films of a unit's work on active service might have a more powerful and useful effect in promoting sound morale in peacetime than the most scholarly regimental history ever composed. C.P. Stacey, Major, Historical Officer, Canadian Military Headquarters, 1941.